Hello, everybody. My name is Brennan Banville, the level designer on Silent Void. Welcome to my little breakdown of my work. I'm going to fly us around here in the level and show you various sections of the level, and then we are going to go back through the game and play it using the player controller so I can show you the level in action. The first thing I did in Engine for Silent Void was create a white box of the bridge here. Due to the fact that I was working with a modular asset pack, I didn't whitebox every section of the game. Rather, I built the levels with the assets that I had at hand. However, the bridge needed, during production, we cut both the exterior of the ship as well as the second player controller. However, it was still invaluable in structuring the ship, so it felt like it is cohesively inside the interior of a large spacecraft instead of just nebulously being a level. Originally, we had a plan to have 5 cohesive narrative beats the player would follow. Enter maintenance to establish comms, enter engineering to turn on the power, enter oxygen to fix oxygen, return to the bridge to calculate our trajectory, and then escape the ship through a series of tunnels. Now, these steps too got cut and jumbled during production, with oxygen being entirely cut from the game altogether. For maintenance here, I tried to make sure there was a smooth transition from the brighter section of the map in the bridge to the darker section of the map inside the maintenance tunnels. I wanted to keep a slightly darker atmosphere so it would be easier to direct the player's attention using lighting here and brighter colors, as you can see here in the pipes. If we follow the pipes and the little railing with all of the wires up here, it will lead directly to both the door that leads to the escape as well as the charging station, the brighter of the two items leading to the place you need to go first, the charging station. Things caught in the player's periphery often subconsciously influence the player's decision on where to go next. I try to use similar methods whenever I can throughout the game. Now, moving from there, the atrium was originally a big struggle for me. It is such a simple room, but it needed to be a player hub without being a player hub. Player hubs usually make the players feel safe, and since our game is a horror game, we wanted it to be dark, and we didn't want any player part of the ship itself to feel super safe, like there was nothing that was going to hurt you inside. We wanted to have some level of suspense. So I tried to make this room dark while still highlighting the important pieces of the level using things like these spotlights here on the floor, as well as the collection of boxes here on the side, as well as the staircases that highlight. As you can see up here, we have a locked door that was originally supposed to lead to oxygen, and then later we decided that it would lead to the lab, which we then later cut from the game. Throughout the game, we have a variety of objectives that appear for the player that the player can make appear up there in the upper left-hand corner, and they also appear to direct the player in the UI with little objective markers. One of them just popped up over there. The objective system was added by me near the end of the project, when the majority of the level had already been built in order to bolster players' understanding of what to do next. Moving on from that, we enter engineering here, where the largest part of the gameplay for Silent Void takes place in the form of a puzzle the players need to complete by reading the dialogue and doing what our chief engineer, Mac, says to do. This section of the map went through the most iterations because it was one of the places in the game's map that almost every single object is interactable and important in some way or another. So I tried to find a good way of separating the interactables and making them feel like they were meant to be there. Like, for example, this room right here, I made sure I highlighted the airlock that leads to it, so that way when you get in here, you have a little room that you can be in and look around, and you can see when we actually have to restart the generator here. And you can see it turn on and make noise. I also tried to help players understand the ship's size a bit more by adding the scaffolding above here, which I originally was going to connect with oxygen, so the level was more interconnected than it is now. However, oxygen got cut, so that concept got cut with it. Now, unfortunately, this section is the escape section, so I can't really slow down to look around. However, there's a lot to see in this upcoming section of the level, so we will go ahead and come back through here in Editor to show you it all in a little more detail in a moment. I did a lot of things with evacuation that unfortunately don't come through as much as they did before we made the switch in lighting systems that made the whole game a lot brighter as a whole than it was originally. One of which is the subtlety of lighting colors. I used white, yellow, orange, and red to direct the player in a variety of ways. For white lighting, I tried to make slightly unsafe, kind of unsure, like a neutral color. And orange and light orange, we tried to make a safety color. So as you see here, we have like white on the left and orange on the right because we need you to run up here and then turn right towards this. And I wanted to make sure that players kind of got a little bit of subconscious aid in that. Similarly, I again use brighter objects leading in the direction I want them to turn via this cord here on the ground that I use to try to get the players to turn this way. That combined with the wires on the floor and red in the areas I definitely didn't want them to go, we create a golden path of escape for the player to follow as they're running through the level that is only further solidified by the alien coming over out of the vent over here and the arrows leading you to the evacuation shuttle. Well, that's all I've got to show today for Silent Void. Thank you so much for watching. I am Brendan Banville, the level designer on the project. Goodbye.